It's the best day ever. You know why? Because it's always the best day when the Europa League and the Conference League are playing on the exact same day. The Champions League splits its piddly ass self over 2 days, and then we get one glorious, chaotic day of complete and utter nonsense. And it delivered once again. We'll start with the more boring one, which will be the Europa League. And we start with maybe one of the most impressive bottles I've ever seen. And that says something considering we're talking about Tottenham. Tottenham Hotspur at AZ. Now, AZ's been very good. All of the Dutch teams have shown that the level of the Dutch league is very high this year. So this is not an easy match, particularly for a team in the bottom half of the Premier League table, right? Like you're not just going to walk into AZ and do well. But Tottenham managed to do the exact opposite of well. And that is causing a serious reckoning for me, because I have long trumpeted the virtues of Ange Postecoglou. And I made a video. Zealand made a video on YouTube a long time ago about Ange Postecoglou's career rise and all the different places that he went. So Zealand, again, not me, has an intimate understanding of Ange's career and thought that he was a really good manager, and he is, but it's just not clicking. Tottenham scored the worst own goal you might ever see. Like creative, like Puskas award-winning own goal. Lucas Bergvall tries to volley it clear. Instead, it hits the side of his boot and lobs the goalkeeper going the other direction. Who even does that? What even is that? And that was their only shot on either goal until right at the end of the game when they managed to notch one singular shot on target. Not like AZ dominated this game, but they certainly dominated the chance creation portion of this game. They had 1.57 XG, none of which was involved in the only goal that they had in this match. Okay, Tottenham Hotspur scores a wicked bad own goal and then barely gets one shot on target when they're rushing towards the goal at the end. Look, you're down 1-0 coming to the home leg. It is far from over, but yikes, dude. Next up, FCSB and Lyon. This made me dream. The Romanian team at home in the cold against Lyon. And even though Lyon took the lead in the first half, there was a moment in the second half where FCSB was they'd managed to equalize. If you can take a level match to France, the longer you can keep the ball up in the air here if you're FCSB against Lyon, the better. Right? Because FCSB feels like the type of team that would be kicking it in the Conference League, not Europa League round of 16. But they're 1-1 with Lyon until the 86th minute. And then you could hear the wind come out of the balloon. You could feel the energy come out of FCSB after the second goal, because it's the exact same combination for the third. Rayon Cherki finally starting to find some of his football manager wonder kid self to tee up consecutive goals, and all of a sudden, it's amazing how quickly these things can change. Lyon's going home with a multi-goal lead, and that probably buries FCSB for good. You know who else might just be buried for good? Jose freaking Mourinho. Because what is this score? We saw Celtic take Bayern Munich the distance, but this Scottish, duo might actually really have been the real deal this year, because Fenerbahce has good players. They're in the title race, a 2-team title race in Turkey, with Galatasaray, who also has a bunch of really good players. They also have Jose freaking Mourinho, and they've got one of the best home field advantages you can have in Turkey. That is a pretty long flight from Scotland, and the crowd's crazy. This is a very, very big home field advantage, and Rangers could have won by more. They won 3-1. They had 2 disallowed goals in the second half. Jose Mourinho just did not have the magic touch with his team out there today. And Rangers did. And we've obviously seen Rangers make these runs, right? They had that European final against Eintracht Frankfurt, and it looks like they might be trying to put together another run like that right here. Because Fenerbahce, I'm going to be honest, in the Europa League, you're not going to get a much better opponent than Fenerbahce. If you can go on the road against that team and beat them 3-1 and have 2 disallowed goals in that as well, the eyebrows should go up. The eyebrows absolutely should go up. Now, I do want to point something out, because obviously all of that makes it sound like Rangers completely blew Fenerbahce away. It was a pretty tight match. But Rangers had all the key moments. And that's usually what Jose Mourinho is able to do. Right? But instead, Jose Mourinho took the ball and Rangers took the 3 points. 23 shots to 8. But the XG was close because the shots that Rangers was creating were better. And isn't that just the name of the game? A la Liverpool. But Rangers is now going home to the Ibrox with a 2-goal lead. That is going to be nigh impossible. But if anybody can do it, I'm going to go ahead and give the benefit of the doubt to Jose Mourinho. Real Sociedad against Manchester United. This is a win for Manchester United. I'm not being facetious. I'm not insulting Manchester United. Real Sociedad is really they're like just a legit European contender in La Liga. Manchester United's not anywhere near a European place in the Prem. They've been going the exact wrong direction and have been playing terrible football. You can go on the road against a team like Sociedad that's got entrenched talent and guys like Take Kubo and got entrenched leadership and guys like Mikel Oyarzabal, right? The continuity of a team like Real Sociedad, the ability of a team like Real Sociedad. Manchester United had the freaking lead in this match. Oyarzabal scored a penalty in the 70th minute to make it 1-1, but Manchester United, this could have gone a lot worse. This is a brutally tough draw in the round of 16 of the Europa League for both of these teams to have to play each other, because even if Manchester United is knocked out, there's still a giant down on the canvas, right? It's Manchester United here. They still have guys like Bruno Fernandes that can go out there and steal something for you, right? Garnacho can win you a Puskas and win you a match. Okay, and so Sociedad's looking at this like, come on, really? And Manchester United with a very difficult test against Sociedad, this is a good result for them. This is well ahead of where Manchester United's been putting its results recently. You got to like actually legitimately be happy with this. I mean, in terms of building towards where Manchester United fans and players and coaches, right, want to be, this is a step in the right direction, and this is a disappointing result, I think, for Real Sociedad, who would have thought and hoped that they could go in and take this to Manchester United early and throw a knockout punch. That is still possible, though. Because the struggles United's been in, if Sociedad can grab control of the game early at Old Trafford, which they are good enough to do, the crowd will start to turn. It's not the crowd's fault. The team sucked for a while. But that's just how it works. If United gets going early, then the crowd's going to get behind him and it'll be a huge advantage. But the home advantage of Manchester United really hinges on how these teams look early. Because if Real Sociedad's taking it to them, that crowd's going to start to get uneasy. And that home support's not going to be there because Manchester United just hasn't earned it at all. That's going to be a very interesting second leg. Ajax against Eintracht Frankfurt. If you had to dream up a classic Europa League knockout match over the last 5 years, this would basically be what you got. Ajax jumped out to an early lead, but Eintracht Frankfurt leaning on them, able to come back and take this 2-1 overall. I picked a draw in this match, and it was bang on, nearly even on the XG. It just comes down to those little moments, and it's in the little moments that Eintracht Frankfurt was able to get the result. And now they're going home. I think Ajax has got a lot of work to do because Ajax's strength has been on defense this year. You got to go and probably score multiple goals in Germany. That's going to be really tough to do. But one of the most surprising results of the round is Roma against Athletic Bilbao. Athletic Bilbao is top 4 or 5 in La Liga. They are Champions League level in La Liga. Roma is not, in a Serie A that is worse than La Liga. And yet, they managed to grab a late goal after the red card here. 93rd minute for Eldor Shomurodov of Uzbekistan to give them the win at the Stadio Olimpico. And they were down in the second half at home. That's great grit. That's great heart. And this is a matchup of two teams that will be looking at this entire tournament and believing justifiably they have a chance to win. Ajax, maybe not. Eintracht Frankfurt, yes. So I didn't say the same thing about the previous matchup, but these two teams absolutely can win this tournament. And this is a huge step for Roma. Far from over. I would still likely make Athletic Bilbao favorites to actually come through this tie, but Roma has definitely spiced it up because there was a world where Bilbao was just one step above Roma, and that did not happen. Bodo Glimt against Olympiacos. I picked Bodo Glimt to win this match. They're playing at home against a team that lives in Greece, north of the Arctic Circle. That is a brutal spot. And they gave up 2 goals in the first half, Olympiacos did. Now it's 3-0 to Bodo Glimt. They're the best team in Norway. They are a force of nature in European competition. They are seasoned at this level in a way that most teams from a league like Bodo Glimt are not. And they took it to an Olympiacos team that has certainly been on the rise. This is a team that has the same owner, if I'm not mistaken, as Nottingham Forest. And that dude invests. That dude is militant about making sure that his teams are competitive and that they are good. And they got waxed in this match. Now, going home, it's possible. Bodo Glimt is not a team that's going to be able to overwhelm Olympiacos in Greece, and if they can get good fortune, that'd be great. They did create 2 XG in this match. They just couldn't score, right? The ball would just freeze before it went over the line. If they can get that type of performance again, and then actually clean up some of the defensive aspects of their game, Olympiacos is not... I'm not ready to declare this one over, the same as like FCS BV Lyon is. I think that one's just over. This one's not over, but we'll know pretty early whether Olympiacos has got a shot at this or not. And the final match was the team that finished bang on first in the Europa League stage against one of my favorite teams in European competition, Victoria Pilsen, who play diabolical defensive football. They get excellent results. They're in a round of 16 in a European competition for a second straight year, right? And this is what they do. They grind out results, and they nearly did it again. They had a disallowed goal in the 11th. Lazio scored to take the lead, but then Victoria Pilsen, early in the second half, they grab a goal, and they're hanging on to it, and they're hanging on to it. And then red card. And once they got the red card, I remember I was sitting there on stream. I'm thinking, okay, they have a chance to go on and win this thing. This is their opportunity. They can sneak a late goal and go over to Italy with a lead and maybe try to make something miraculous happen with their tough defense. But then something unthinkable happened. Lazio got another red card. It is 11-9. And somehow Lazio scores. Never in my life have I seen a team score while down 2 players. It's inconceivable, and even though this is a 1-goal advantage, Lazio going home and the heartbreaking impact of this, I don't think Victoria Pilsen is going to be able to score 1, let alone 2 goals that it would need to actually carry this. Maybe they can get a 1-0. It would have to be a complete shithouse. Victoria Pilsen gets the most out of what it is, but if something crazy and unfortunate happens like this against a team that is really on fire in Europe and Lazio, I think that might be curtains for them. Lazio has survived its away day to the Czech Republic. And now finally we get into the Conference League, which was absolutely insane today. First, it was Real Betis, the Fighting Anthonies, against Victoria Guimaraes. 0-0 at halftime, 2-2 final score. Real Betis took the lead 2 separate times. Victoria Guimaraes equalized 2 separate times after, about 5 to 7 minutes. It was weird how it was kind of spaced almost the same. And that means that Real Betis, who I believe is the second biggest favorite to win the Conference League behind Chelsea, is going on the road to Portugal with a level score. Now, Antony, of course, is going to aura up and score a hat trick, but that is at least going to be a very interesting tie. Copenhagen against Chelsea was also 0-0 at the half, at which point Chelsea scored 2 goals thanks to Reece James and Enzo Fernandez before Copenhagen showed a pulse and got one back. All right, Copenhagen has got a very, very long road to hoe. This is not the same Copenhagen team that made it to the Champions League round of 16 last year. They struggled in the league this year, at least early on, right? They were not convincing, obviously, in the fact that they fell to the Conference League. I mean, a team that was in the Champions League last year should have been able to, play their way into that spot again. They didn't. That's why they're here, right? But if there's anything positive to take from this, they didn't get run all over the field by Chelsea. The XG was very low for both teams. Total of 10 shots in this match. It was a tense match. Then I expect that there is a lot left in this script, and Copenhagen, they could do it. I mean, Chelsea is not necessarily the most reliable team when it comes to this, and it's obviously for a lot of these players going to be a pretty new experience playing in Europe at this stage. I wouldn't put it past them, but if Chelsea blows a 1-goal lead going home, they're going to eat a lot of shit for it. Weirdest match of the day, Molde out of Norway takes a 3-0 lead, which immediately makes Shamrock Rovers look amazing because Molde beat Shamrock Rovers of the Irish League on pens in the playoff round to get to the round of 16. And then Legia Warsaw scored 2 goals in 3 minutes. And this match went from a dead rubber to incredibly spicy. And now it's just a 1-goal lead for Molde going to Poland. The Polish teams, by the way, they have hands in these tournaments, just so you know. They're very scary. You don't want to play the Polish teams. Here they are. But Molde is definitely a weird they're a weird team. They can't seem to figure out what they want to do. And I'd be an idiot if I told you I had any idea what was going to happen in Poland when those two teams play the second leg, because what does that tell you? What does this tell you? Fiorentina from Serie A goes down 2-0 at Panathinaikos in freaking 19 minutes and then scores 2 goals in a 4-minute stretch to tie it at 2. Panathinaikos scores. Tete, who I believe he's gotten a red card actually at a separate point in this tournament, he scores the goal to put Panathinaikos in the lead, and now we have a Greek team leading and going on the road against an Italian team. But the spiciness, the overall spiciness of all of these matches is so ridiculous. It's like each one is its own freaking telenovela. 2-3-2s, but they couldn't be more different. Right? Panathinaikos had the lead, blew it, got it back. Molde had a huge lead, nearly blew it, held on to it, and both come away as 1-goal winners. Legia Warsaw and Fiorentina, two teams that got a bye in the previous round, now got to go earn it. And then there were the afternoon matches. Borac Banja Luka against Rapid Vienna. This is the miracle team. It makes no sense that they're here. They're not even first in the Bosnia and Herzegovina League, which is like below the Latvian league in coefficient. It is not a league that produces clubs that compete at this level. It's not a league that produces clubs that ever really make group stages or league stages as they are now. So naturally, they scored an equalizing goal in the 92nd minute in order to send a 1-1 to Austria. Rapid Vienna is obviously a fairly easy draw for our miracle warriors from Bosnia and Herzegovina, but still, it is a team that you expect to be a full step and a half ahead of Borac Banja Luka. But they weren't. XG, close. Shots on goal, all close. Possession, right in range. Borac Banja Luka is not giving up on this, and we are one match away from a team from the Bosnia and Herzegovina League making the quarterfinal of a major European competition. I know it's the Conference League, but come on. That's what it's all about, is finding a team like this that's able to somehow keep winning matches, keep competing. And then eventually you get down to 8 teams left, and they might just be one of them. And if you're Rapid Vienna, you were looking at this like, wow, we got an easier draw. And they're going to be at home, and it is only 1-1, but still. They're also not the only big potential upset. Celje out of Slovenia. They're 5th in the Slovenian league right now. They beat Lugano out of the Swiss league 1-0. It's Borac Banja Luka and Celje. It makes no sense. Neither one of them makes any sense if you look at anything other than the results that they are getting to just continue to advance in these, like in this European competition. That's the only, it only makes sense because it's happening. That's essentially the argument I'm making here. It's a sort of situation, you need to win your home match. They got outplayed. They got throttled. Look at the XG. They won. They're now going to Switzerland with a clean sheet in their back pocket and a goal. Celje and Borac Banja Luka are going to be playing they're going to be playing for their lives. This is the biggest stage they've ever been on. Even teams like Austria Vienna and Lugano, they play in this more often. I mean, obviously, you can't play in this less often than Celje and Borac Banja Luka do. This is like a freaking fairy tale for both of these teams, and they're still going. They're not going to be the most exciting matches, but they might just be the most interesting matches, seeing if Celje and Borac Banja Luka can actually get to the quarterfinal. Then there's Jagiellonia. They beat Cercle Bruges 3-0. This was an easy pick for me. I don't know what's gotten in Jagiellonia. They scored a bicycle kick for their 3rd goal. They're a Polish team that's just like flying. They're blowing everybody out. They've gotten so incredibly hot in European play. They've scored at least 3 goals in each of their last 3 matches. Cercle Bruges was the seeded team for this out of Belgium. They got a bye in the last round. Didn't friggin' matter. Jagiellonia just drops 3 goals right on their head, and Cercle Bruges needs a 3-goal victory to force extra time at home. And you know what? Honestly, I'm feeling like I want to call this. Jagiellonia continues to perform every time I pick them because they're just blowing everybody out. And they're blowing them. I mean, honestly, if you want a dark horse to win this competition, the way they're beating people, I'd have to go Jagiellonia. They're like Vibes FC right now. A Polish team that could maybe, if you can catch Chelsea on a bad day, catch Real Betis on a bad day, could maybe actually go all the way with this. But it was a brutal situation for Cercle Bruges. They had a second yellow card, red card given early in the second half. All of Jagiellonia's goals came after that. You cannot give a team that is hot that kind of window because they just smashed their way through it. And then the final match, the team I consider the complete unknown. Because I honestly, if you'd asked me at the end of the league stage, if I had known Paphos was even in, I wouldn't have been able to tell you. They didn't do anything remarkable in the league stage. They squeaked their way into the knockouts. They beat a fellow Cypriot team in the playoff round, which, like, how can you judge how well Paphos is doing in that? But they've made it to the last 16 of the Conference League, and now you have to pay attention to them because they have won 1-0 against Djurgården, a team that I totally thought was going to handle Paphos and was totally wrong. So I have to recalibrate my entire brain to accommodate the fact that there's a team from Cyprus that apparently has some hands, and it's not Applewell. It's got like a handsome-looking dude on the badge, actually. Djurgården's still got the home leg. That's not going to be easy. A Cypriot team having to go to Sweden in March, right? Not a fun time for them, but they have set themselves up for success with this result. And you know where I'll be. I'll be on stream, and then I'll be back here with the rundown after all of these teams play again. But at least you know what you're looking for now.